Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Oh, let's see what we have. Our first topic, temple as the source of culture, October 2013, 12 years old. This publisher's desk was written based upon many Hindu families in North America, expressing to me a concern about how to pass on Hindu culture to their children who are growing up in the midst of Western secular life. My suggestion is based on Gurudeva's teachings and suggests that the temple is the key. For some 25 years, from about 1975 to 2001, Gurudeva was instrumental in helping temples get established. Gurudeva guided 37 temples in the United States, Canada, Guadeloupe, Denmark, England, Fiji, Germany, Mauritius, New Zealand, Reunion, Russia, Sweden, and Sri Lanka, giving each community or temple an icon of God, usually Lord Ganesha, and guidance when needed. He also helped dozens more temples by sharing his global experience and understanding of community building, or by publicizing their project in Hinduism today. Why did Gurudeva devote so much energy to helping establish the temples of organizations with no formal ties to his? In other words, there's no benefit, no typical benefit. He did it because of a strong conviction that, and that's the first question to you, what was Gurudeva's strong conviction? Gurudeva's strong conviction is that the temple is what perpetuates the culture. In other words, if Hindus move to a country and do not build a temple, after a few generations, Hindu culture will have been lost. At a satsang held in July 2000, a devotee asked Gurudeva, "What happens to Hindu culture? It seems in Bollywood, actors and actresses are turning Western and encouraging everyone else to do so. Will Hindu culture or Indian culture last very long after this?" Gurudeva responded, "We can see in the world today that combative culture where people do not get along, but sometimes pretend to get along even when they do not get along." Isn't that beautiful? Comes from the offices and the factories and the non-religious activities. Indian culture may be going down in India, but it is definitely coming up in the West because of the worship within the temples. It is our relationship with God, the gods, and the goddesses that establishes our relationship with men, women, and children. What a beautiful statement. Huh? I'll read it again. It's our relationship with God, the gods, and the goddesses that establishes our relationship with men, women, and children. Culture comes from being sensitive to other people's feelings, as we are sensitive within the temple to the feelings of the gods and the vibration emanating from their sanctums. Without religion in one's life and the practice of that religion in the home shrine, in the temple, and pilgrimage once a year to a far-off place, culture quickly fails and a competitive culture comes into play. He continued, "While there are many that are trying to bring the best of the West to the Far East, there are still in the West many people who are trying to bring the best of the Far East into the West. As long as religion and worship and the practice of pilgrimage and all the refinements of our great religion are present, culture will be there. The Hindu Temple Connect is a powerful spiritual hub that radiates out Hindu culture and devotional practices into the homes of families who attend regularly, at least once a week. The process of strengthening culture can happen on a number of levels. Question to you: what levels come to your mind? The most basic level is simply learning and following the many traditions and protocols associated with visiting a temple. No devout Hindu will approach the sacred home of God without proper preparation. The simple necessities include a bath, donning clean clothes, and preparing an offering tray, whether simple on a normal day or elaborate for a festival. These acts are all important parts of temple going. On arrival, we need to wash our feet and handle shoes in the specified way. Then the customary prostrations to the deities, followed by circumambulation and presenting our offerings with a loving heart. When attending puja, men and women may be required to sit on separate sides of the mandapam. At key points throughout the rites, we pray and respond in specific ways. As children follow the parents' traditional protocols, they develop an appreciation for worship and sacred objects. Respect for elders. An understanding of the importance of physical cleanliness and mental purity. And a fondness for familial and communal devotion. After years of such practice, essential character qualities such as humility and devotion can deepen. So years of practices. Devotion here means love of God. These qualities, which are present in every cultured Hindu, may not develop in an individual growing up in the West unless he or she participates in regular temple worship. The second level of the temple's influence on the home begins when a shrine is established in the home and worshipped at daily. Wherever possible, it should be a separate room, not in a cabinet or on a shelf. Such a dedicated space makes everyone living in the home think more about God, reflect more on their behavior, and be less inclined to become angry or argue as they are living in God's presence. This, of course, is the idea of living with Shiva, which is the theme of the Jivana Vartal, August 15th through December 15th. So that's where we are now, living with Shiva, focus on the home shrine and the vibration in the home. Going to the temple every week can actually bring some of the temple's sanctity into the shrine room. You remember how? The picture gives it away. Gurudeva taught that lighting an oil lamp in the shrine room first thing after coming home from the temple brings the temple's Shakti into your home. That devotional act brings devas who are at the temple into the home shrine, where from the inner world they can bless the family and protect the home, so long as the vibration does not become argumentative. The temple's third level of cultural influence begins when a family member, generally the father, performs regular puja in the home. In a sense, he becomes a family priest, emulating the temple priests while following a simpler, non-public liturgy known as Atmarta Puja. Puja for oneself, Atma. Such a full puja done daily steadily strengthens the home's religious vibration. Quite fittingly, the structure of the puja ceremony arises from the magnanimous spirit of hospitality for which Hindu culture is famous. All guests are received and treated as God, and God is no exception. During this daily morning puja rite, family members gather in their well-appointed shrine room to honor God as their royal guest. They receive him warmly, offer a seat, serve water to quench his thirst, bathe and dress him in beautiful clothes, burn the finest incense for his enjoyment, honor him with light, flowers, chantings, and offerings of food. It is an intimate personal interaction. Throughout the puja, the officiant chants sweetly to the deity in Sanskrit, describing these kindly acts and beseeching his blessings. Finally, the pujari thanks the deity for his presence, bids him farewell, and humbly apologizes for any efforts he may have unknowingly committed. And we have a fourth level. Fourth level of temple influence on the home begins when the shrine is strong enough that we feel that the main deity of the shrine, for example, Lord Shiva, is the head of the house. When that happens, we would never think of having a meal without first offering a portion to God. We would naturally want to always worship God, even if briefly, before leaving the home and upon returning. For Hindu culture to strengthen the home to this extent, the entire family needs to be involved. To illustrate, let me share a story. One of our devotees was responsible for the Sunday morning Hinduism classes for a group in Singapore Center. He found that parents would commonly drop the children off, go shopping for 2 hours, return and pick them up, all the while expecting the teachers to make their children better Hindus. Though this approach works for learning the fine arts, such as dancing or playing an instrument, it does not work for Hinduism. The difference is this. For children to learn dance or music, the parents need not know how to dance or play the instrument. However, for Hinduism to be learned, it is necessary for the whole family to practice it together. This is because Hinduism is an all-encompassing spiritual way of life, informing every aspect of the family's daily and weekly routine, and not just in the shrine room. Having the children study Hinduism at the temple is important, but if the parents are also involved in the study, there is much greater potential for actually augmenting Hindu culture and religious conversations in the home. In fact, some Hindu groups will not accept children into classes unless the parents also enroll in a parallel study for adults. I like to compare Hindu temples to an electrical distribution system. On the remote Hawaiian island of Kauai, where we live, there is one main electrical generating plant with power lines to 5 distribution substations to which customers in each region are connected. This can be likened to a ray of spiritual energy coming from the celestial world's electrical plant to 5 temples, substations, each with a connection which powers the homes of devotees who worship there regularly, customers. The electricity lights up the house and empowers all sorts of appliances. The energy from the temple illumines the family's path and enlivens the culture. That's a really good talk. So reminds everyone how the temple, through the home shrine, impacts the whole family in an ideal situation, as described in Living with Shiva, as a theme for the Jivana Ritau. 64 character qualities. Let's see where we are. From our workbook, we're up to T. 63rd. Whoa, we're almost done. I have to find something new for section 2, starting in 2 weeks. Truthfulness is the 63rd character quality. How would you define truthfulness? The workbook gives this definition. Truthfulness means being factually accurate and forthright. I cultivate it by not lying or practicing deception, nor misrepresenting or withholding facts. The opposite is untruthfulness. So being forthright means you don't withhold information, which is a form of not being truthful. Satya is a restraint, says Gurudeva, and as one of the 10 restraints, it ranks in importance as number 2. When we restrain our tendencies to deceive, to lie, and break promises, our external life is uncomplicated, as is our subconscious mind. Honesty is the foundation of truth. It is ecologically, psychologically purifying. In other words, if we're dishonest, like cheat on a test, then we have to lie to cover that up. So honesty is the foundation of truth. If we're not dishonest, then it's much easier to always tell the truth. And Gurudeva again, only by rejecting the apparent opposites, likes and dislikes, hates and love, can true truthfulness, which is a quality of the soul, burst forth again and be there full force as it is within an innocent child. Reflection, take a moment to identify a few ways in which you could improve in truthfulness. And our third topic, Yoga Swami's words of our master. To the latrine worker who was cleaning the lavatory outside. Oh, Ramaswamy, are you doing Shiva Puja out there? Interesting quote. What does that mean to you? This is the idea that all our actions should be done with the perspective that work is worship. Even the simplest of tasks, such as cleaning the bathroom, that it is an offering to God. So even the simple things are included. All work is worship. And Yoga Swami again, God and I are inseparable. Therefore, it is necessary to keep pure this body, which is His temple. What does that mean to you? Looking at yourself as a temple is a perspective that inspires greater self-discipline. You are the temple. God is within you. And the last quote here, those who remain summa, being still, are the real benefactors of humanity. What does that mean to you? When there are more peaceful individuals, it makes for greater harmony in the home and tolerance in the community. That's one of my points in a talk I gave a long time ago, which I sometimes repeat. It was in a talk in Perth, Australia. Kumbhabhishekam and the head of the government for Western Australia was there. I guess it's just the representative. The representative for Perth to the government of Western Australia was there. So I wanted to make the point to him how the temple benefited the community in a way that a politician could understand, which is tolerance. So individuals go to the temple, makes them more peaceful. This creates greater harmony in their homes and leads to greater tolerance in the overall community, which is what politicians want. Oh, thank you very much. Oh.